Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another very special live watch party. Thank you, everyone, for coming on in. We have a little special treat today. I have joining with me some of the channel members who are going to come in, and we're just going to have a big season 6 part 1 discussion. We even have more. We're going to just go through the season. We'll probably have some initial reactions. We'll go through episode by episode, leaving no stone unturned. So here we go. We're going to throw it off right off the top. Thank you all. By the way, thank you all for the channel members. Thank you anyone who's also subscribed. It's always just great. It helps out the channel, and it really does keep the fun flowing. And everyone in the chat, we'll get to you whenever we can. So, season 6, we're just over a week out from its drop. I was live massively for over 6 hours. It's been really a roller coaster, a lot of emotions, a lot of surprises, and we know there's more to come. Let me just throw it out. Robin, what was your first reaction to the season?
It was okay.
Okay.
Thrilling, but just okay.
Just okay. But elaborate a little, why just okay?
Well, it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more, with a little more character development in there. But let's just say there were a few really funny scenes.
Okay. Funny scenes. How about you, John?
I overall I enjoyed it. I was annoyed with the back to the Johnny and Daniel bickering again. I thought we were all past that after season 4, and it didn't really happen in season 5. But yeah, I was a little bit annoyed by that, and I was somewhat surprised that Master Kim, who's probably 100 years old, is still alive. But it was a pleasant surprise because I figured we'd only see him in flashbacks. We saw one with Terry and Kreese, and then Kim Da-eun getting discovered by Master Kim and him initiating her, so to speak. And I thought the slumber party was probably for comic relief more than anything.
Yeah, Johnny at a slumber party. Yeah, that sounds like comic relief.
Johnny at a slumber party. But overall, I enjoyed it. I did find, I did wonder, was Kreese on the Concorde when he showed up in California and then went back to South Korea?
Actually, I think as I even pointed out, I think maybe Kreese and Tory went straight to Barcelona. Right. They didn't go to South Korea, then Barcelona.
Right. But, and if Peyton List doesn't at least get nominated for an Emmy for episode 5, that's an injustice.
Well, there you go. Yeah, definitely. She has a fan base. Riley, thank you for hopping on. What was your thoughts? Season 6, we're a week out. You've had time to digest.
I might be in the minority here, but I thought it was a great season, and I think I enjoyed it significantly more than season 5.
You are amongst Cobra Kai fans. I don't know if that's a minority. It's great. No, go ahead. Tell us, what did you love about it?
I don't know. See, I thought that it was a much more focused story overall. It kind of brought the story back to the main characters with Johnny and Danny and,
Danny. Wow. Not Daniel.
I thought it really brought the story into a more focused place that it wasn't in season 5. Sorry, because in season 5, the main thing that people have been saying about season 6 is that the Johnny and Daniel, fight comes back out of nowhere. But for me, the problem that I had with season 5 was that it felt like it got resolved way too quickly between Johnny and Danny. It felt like one episode, they were just like, you know what? We have no more differences. And then they just completely went from there. And so I thought that was unrealistic. And now that they've brought it back in season 6, it seems out of place, but it really should have been like that through season 5, the way I see it.
Okay, they shouldn't have been so over their differences in season 5.
Yeah, it felt.
I think in season 5. I mean, this is season 6, but they had reversed places because Daniel was drinking, his wife was gone, so he was in that low spot Johnny had been in before, and I think Johnny noticed that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm glad you loved it. This is all about the Cobra Kai love. So, nothing wrong with that. Let's move on. Robert, 5 episodes. How did you take it?
If you look at it with your eyes on it, remembering that it was purposely 5 episodes, it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Some things kind of bothered me, like watching Kreese walking through the jungle. He really looked old in that scene, and I couldn't find him menacing or terrifying. So that kind of bothered me a tiny bit. I'm with everybody else on many of the storylines. They were okay. The fights, I was kind of having season 2, episode 5 vibes with one of the fights with the in the first 2 episodes, particularly the Kenny one was all right, but episode 2 when you got the fight with at the frat house, that one to me just, there was so many things that I didn't like about it. The slow motion stuff, it wasn't what we're used to seeing, and so it kind of took me out a little bit. But overall, I'd say like 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of like good enough.
Very good. 5 episodes. I would say 7.5 is a very good, at least, right?
Yeah, very good. But yeah, the last 2 episodes really picked it up, and I agree. Peyton List deserved an Emmy for that one. I mean, the way she just screamed out, "'Cause my mother died." I mean, you could just feel that connection with her in that moment. That was powerful.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Melissa, 5 episodes. You're a big fan of the girls. How do you think? What do you think?
I loved it. I honestly did. There were a lot of scenes that I thought were good.
Mm-hmm. Like which ones? Melissa?
I think she lost her connection.
Oh boy. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Melissa, we lose you? Okay.
Did we lose Melissa?
Okay. She may come back.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to Melissa when she's here. Browsing. I just thank you everyone in the chat checking up. They do the Chris disappointed. Yeah, it's definitely a little back and forth here looking through. Got the design is Jacob Bertrand. Oh, interesting. That must have been an interview. I haven't seen most of these interviews. Looking for Miyagi.
Am I the only one that thinks that his mohawk is like a total eyesore?
It's more busy than the others, obviously. So we'll see. I think it fits for going to Sekai
for the season. Yeah, I agree.
Miyagi flashbacks. Okay, season 6 was Rush. Okay, so thank you, everyone. So what we're gonna do is we're going to just sort of take it through the episode. So we got like some people okay, we got very good, and we got great, basically. So we have a mix of okay to great. But let's go ahead and we'll just sort of take it through The beginning. Oh wait, hold on. Maybe Melissa's back. Melissa, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay,
Yes,
go
I'm back.
ahead and finish your thought. You thought season 6 was great. You said.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought very well focused. I mean, there were things about there that I felt like deserved more expansion a little bit, like with Mike Barnes coming in. They just had him, like, I felt like they should have maybe shown Daniel maybe going to Mike Barnes and asking him for help instead of him just like showing up in the scene. But like I said, the South Korean scenes were amazing. I loved Kwan's. I love Kwan. I loved the fight scenes. Like, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how like we got to see more of Kreese's connection with Kim. That was amazing. I thought the girls' slumber party was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a girl dad now. I got tampons and pink balloons and everything.
There you go.
And
yeah.
I actually thought it was funny when he tried to on the Ouija board where he was trying to make Sam and Tori say mean things about each other, but they weren't like falling for it.
Well, I need to know between you and Melissa, or you, Melissa, and Robin, are the girls' slumber parties like that? Do the big fights break out?
Definitely not chaperoned.
Chaperoned.
Well, yeah, they're not chaperoned by Johnny. That's for sure. Like Lawrence.
Should they have been? Would you have enjoyed them more if you had Johnny?
Actually, probably would have.
Yeah.
But I liked how, and I also thought it was hilarious how like he tried to catfish them with Johnny and with Robbie and Miguel's foams, and like they were gonna like they would fall for that. Like when Johnny sent that text to Tori pretending to be Miguel, I was like, okay. When we read the text out loud, I was like, okay, you know what? I know it says it's from Miguel, but he might as well have put "Sincerely yours, Johnny Lawrence."
Johnny Lawrence, yeah. Sensei
like
Lawrence.
Because that is something that he would say, not something Miguel would say.
Right.
And in episode 4, I liked it, but at the same time, I had problems with it because it seemed like they took Devin's character in a direction that I didn't really like. It's like she was so focused on getting her sensei's attention. That's all she really cared about. And then she resorts to cheating. And like, that's not in Devin's character. I love Devin.
You definitely, so you really loved the season, and then, but like, there's always these little bits. Oh, why didn't they do that? Or, oh, why is this character like this? It kind of frustrates you almost, right? That's how you
and it was that to me was like a major step back for her. And I mean, and Dimitri too kind of took a little bit of a step back as well. I mean, I liked his overconfident attitude, but and it's like when it came to choosing the teams, I was like, okay, why are they looking like we knew Sam, Tori, and Miguel and Robbie were going. That was that was a no-brainer. But like, why were they looking at Kenny, Anthony, and Devin, who only had like a couple of months training?
Well,
over Hawk and Dimitri, in the
Miyagi verse, a couple months training is all you need to be a champion.
No, I know, but it's like Daniel was right. They need Hawk. They need Hawk on the team. And
right. Anyway, they had put Barnes in charge. But like I said, definitely you are love the season, he said. But one thing we know about, as many of us are super fans, that's why we're here when we
I
really
know.
love something, we tend to, nitpick that or that, sometimes even the smallest details just drive you crazy.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like in the end it should have been, like I understand for story reasons, like them coming down to
Right.
is it between Hawk, Dimitri,
Mhm.
Devin. I feel like it should have always been Robbie, Miguel, Sam, and Tory and Hawk and Dimitri as the 6 going.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to it when we get to episode 4. But
Last
let's
episode,
hold on, Melissa. Stop. We're gonna go to Matt because he just joined us. Matt, you there?
There you go.
Yes. Okay. So season 6. What's your kind of just your first reactions? It's been a week. You had some time to digest it.
Yeah, man. I've had 3 watch throughs of it so far, and I think overall I really liked it. There was a few components about it that I felt a little differently on. The only thing that comes to mind that I wouldn't even say I don't like so far, but I want to see what direction they take it is the Miyagi past, like the criminal element and all. But I think they have I trust they have a pretty good plan for it. And I think I said this in one of your chats before, but if I compare this to other seasons, then it's not very favorable, but it's only a third of a season, right? And so it's a little bit different with the release schedule. But I thought the build-up's good. It just doesn't seem like the stakes are really that crazy high yet, but I think we're going to get more of that in the middle episodes and definitely more, the last 5 as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, but that's my
Agreed.
humor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things going on with this. So
there definitely were some low stakes plot lines in this. It is ultimately the build up phase, which if you look at any story arc, it's the beginning part. Let's just before we go in, we'll talk more in depth, but I'm curious about 2 things. I'll just go through you. Yeah, that actually Matt brought up the Miyagi past part of it. And then I'm also curious how you reacted to the Tory turnabout, at the very end, it's sort of the end surprise. So we'll just go back through Robin. How did those 2 things, strike you? What do you think about it?
Well, the Miyagi one I really liked because it adds to his character, but I'm also kind of afraid that maybe it might damage the character as well if they go too in depth with it. But knowing these guys, the writers, they don't seem like they're going to damage it. And so I'm really intrigued as to what's going on or what happened. I have in mind, and I've seen theories online as to what's going on. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy to see that. As far as the Tory turn, please don't get me started on that. I just did not like that turn. I thought it was I honestly thought it was. I understand that her character is just going through some stuff, but I also feel like it's kind of a downgrade for her character. That she would be so disappointed that she would just go back to Cobra Kai, even after what Kim Da-eun was doing to her, because she basically broke her hand. So
yeah.
Hopefully they just figure that out in the next thing and just answer some of those questions because I'm kind of intrigued too.
Yeah, it's definitely that's strange. Where did that come from? Because for sure. John, how about you? The Miyagi reveal and the Tory turn.
Well, with the Miyagi thing, I'm more on the side of okay. This has to be a mistaken identity thing. I don't think that he would willingly participate in something like that, nor do I think that he would steal. So I think there's more to that that'll come. I am somewhat surprised, however, that they put him having been in the Sekai Taikai, given the fact that when Daniel wanted to defend his title in Karate Kid 3, Mr. Miyagi told him, it's one thing to defend your life, it's another thing to defend a plastic metal trophy. So I'm a little bit surprised at that. As far as the Tory turn goes, it seems to me like they just recycled the Chris heel turn in season 5.
Mitch.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like they just recycled that. I don't like it because it just. I agree.
Well, Mitch wanted to be around, chicks and babes, right? I don't think that's what Tory's
right. But it just seemed to me that I agree with Robin that they pretty much recycled that. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, recycled. I definitely think some people thought that. Melissa, those two big points, the Miyagi chest and then the Tory turn.
Okay. With Miyagi, I'm very cautious with it. I think we're going to learn things about Miyagi that we never even suspected were possible. And at the same time, though, it's like, I think it's going to go back to what Mr. Miyagi said to Daniel when Daniel was complaining to Mr. Miyagi about doing chores instead of learning karate. He's going to be, he said, he said, things are not always what they seem. And I think that's what this is going to be. Like, we're going to learn so much about Mr. Miyagi, and some of it we're going to, we're not going to always like what we hear, but it's like, I think there's more to that story where not everything is what it seems. They're going to, and I'm just kind of like cautious with that, because does that mean Mr. Miyagi wasn't what he seemed like all this time, all this time? And that could be either a good thing or a bad thing. But I think the creators have proven that their love for the character and their honor for that. And I don't think that they're going to go south. They're going to go south with this character. I think that we're going to have very big surprises in regards to Miyagi that sets something up in the future. And I think it's going to be a good one. I have this feeling, but at the same time, though, I'm still a little bit cautious. It's like, okay, please do not don't ruin the memory of this character. I know, I understand, I respect the fact that they're trying to, show us that Mr. Miyagi wasn't perfect, but
right.
Don't ruin what made him Mr. Miyagi in the first place. Don't ruin the essence that made him Mr. Miyagi, or don't taint the essence of what made Mr. Miyagi what he was.
Right.
In regards to Tory's turn, I was surprised by it. I was genuinely shocked. Like, I knew I did not see it coming. In my heart, I understand why she would go back to Kreese. Like, after watching the episode, in my heart, I totally get it. But it's like my mind just cannot wrap around the fact that she's going back with Kim. And I just feel like after everything that her character's been through in seasons 4 and 5, this is kind of like a step backwards for her. I get why she's doing it. I understand it. And she's doing it to honor her mother. And I respect that. I respect that completely. But it's just like, in regards to her character, it just kind of feels like a step back, because that it's somewhere in part 2, we're going to get a certain fight between two certain people, and we're going to have another Sam versus Tory fight somewhere in part 2. And like that's just like, I don't like that, because now it's like that part's like predictable. And I think going into season 2, there should be nothing in there that's predictable.
Wow.
And and I just kind of like but like I said, I understand, like in my heart I understand why she's doing it, and so it's like I get it, but I don't like it. And like what Robin said, it just kind of like and what Robin and John said, it's kind of like it feels like kind of like a recycling, like sort of like a revolving door with her, like
and a lot of characters on the show are kind of like that. I mean,
right, but
we've been talking about the Johnny Daniel fighting. It's like, oh, they're friends, they're enemies, they're friends. So
right, but the thing of it is, though, with
drama,
Tory, it kind of feels like it's more of a standout because.
Well, for sure, yeah, it was the end of the part one, so yeah, definitely stand out. We'll move on. Riley, if you're there,
okay,
what do you think? Yeah.
So for the Miyagi part of the story, I thought that was pretty interesting. It sets up the Miyagi series pretty well. So I think there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to that series, because it definitely makes the story of Miyagi a lot more in-depth and interesting. And it led to the conflict between Johnny and Daniel in episode 5, which I thought was a very tense scene. And with Daniel punching him in the face, I was like, that threw me off guard a lot. So I think it did what it had to do to set up a new series, and it kind of brought up some conflict that I think was kind of needed between the two of them. Mm-hmm. Now, for the Tory part of it, I think that Tory's story arc was like one of the more interesting parts of the series. I mean, of the season thus far, because in past seasons I wasn't really too fond of Tory as a character, and her story was kind of just wishy-washy, but I think it brought it back pretty well in this season, and it makes a lot of sense that she would go back to Kreese, because if you look back in the past seasons, she doesn't have a very close connection with Daniel. She doesn't have a connection with Johnny. I'm struggling to think if Johnny and Tory have had really any direct interactions in the past seasons. I don't think that they have, at least not like one-on-one conversations. The only character that Tory was very close to that of the adult cast was Kreese, and he was there when nobody else was. And so when she experiences this huge change in her life, of course she's going to go back to the guy who was rooting for her since the very beginning. So it wasn't very surprising to me.
So it made sense for you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it wasn't very surprising to me. I mean, the reveal was surprising, but the character motivations weren't too out of line for me. So I like both of those aspects quite a lot.
Good, yeah, and definitely you apparently are already all in on the Miyagi series, so we don't know yet, but yeah, I think so too. There's a lot of potential there.
I just want to say I'm sorry about that. I just want to say I'm sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry if you get disconnected.
But I also want to say that I agree with Riley. Like that's my point too. It makes sense that she goes back to Kreese because he's been there for her.
Right. All right, Robert, finish it up for us.
Okay, well, I'll say this. Both were absolutely necessary to the story, and for different reasons. Mm-hmm. The Miyagi thing is absolutely necessary to finishing Cobra Kai the right way, because if Miyagi is this larger-than-life character with no flaws, how could you justify Cobra Kai winning the Sakai Takai? You just would not be able to. His lessons would have to transcend everything. It just would not make any sense whatsoever. So he has to have something for us to look at and say, if Cobra Kai wins, I could see it happening and I could believe it. When it comes to the Sam and the Tory change, the reason why that one's absolutely necessary is they spent 3 episodes building up Quan, but did not give us a female character that was strong enough to approach Sam or Tory. And so without that, you need someone who automatically could step right in and we could believe would be strong enough to battle Sam. And that's Tory. That's all there was. If they would have spent more time giving us a female character, absolutely. I could have said we could do without that, but it seems like they wanted Sam and Tory to have one last battle for whatever the reason is. They have that reason, and I can't wait to see what it is. It could be something great. Like, it could be the best fight they've ever had. So I'm actually kind of excited for it. So yeah, after watching it 2 or 3 times now, I think it's absolutely necessary, both storylines.
Okay.
I couldn't agree with you more, Robert, on that. And I do like I've said, as much as I don't like Tory being in Cobra Kai, I understand. It works for her story.
Okay.
And
so what we're going to do now is we're just going to kind of
Watch Party. You forgot Matt.
Did I? No, I thought Matt, you went, didn't you?
Well, I'll give you. I didn't say much story thing, but I'll wrap.
You know what? I'm sorry. The order changed on my screen, and now I was going through it. Okay, go ahead, Matt. Go.
Yeah, no worries, and I'll keep it short. I echo what most of the other members said. Melissa, John, Robert, you had some great points there. But the Tory reveal, I liked where it was going. I can't say that it was totally unexpected for me. My only criticisms of it is I wish they had the Kreese visit. Like, they could have made that like from the prior episode, but no big deal. But we need that drama for there. There hasn't been a whole lot of drama at home. And the one thing where it really makes sense with Tory that I thought, and Daniel's nepotism was on full display so far this season. To pick Anthony as one of the top 6, and that's kind of been a battle with Johnny. And then I'm on board that I think it was completely wrong to stop that fight. Especially it looked like she was just about to score a point there, but that's a healthy way of dealing with what she's going through, and I like what Johnny had to say. So I'm sure there's some debate among the crowd and the fan base, like whether that should have or shouldn't have happened. I'm on Johnny's team on that. That I think Daniel was completely wrong on that. So my 2 cents.
Daniel's the real villain.
Yeah, we'll get to it at the.
On that fight, though, I actually
hold on. We'll get to it when we get to episode 5, because we're going to go through the episode, so we might as well just hold the discussion for that. So, all right, episode 1, Peacetime in the Valley. So we'll just go out, and I'll kind of keep this open if, as we just sort of move through. So it, any like opening thoughts about kind of hold on, this one, no, this one, there we go. This is sort of like the episode here. Anything like the opening montage, these scenes, Peacetime in the Valley, what do we think? Anything you just want to comment, go ahead and throw it out there.
I love the opening montage. I thought the music was cool, and the whole that first thing of kicking it off was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it mirrored. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I thought it mirrored Daniel's entrance from season 2 perfectly. Like, it shows a bunch of things, but at the end, basically.
Yeah, when they're dumping the scene, the sign here.
Yeah, actually, it reminded me of episode 2.
Yeah,
episode 2. I think she meant.
Yeah, like that led to me like brought me flashbacks of when when Daniel was driving and episode 2 of season 1 where he saw the Cobra Kai logo and he immediately had flashbacks. But here it's like it's like a reverse. Like he
it's
sees
literally
the Cobra Kai.
opposite. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like he couldn't be happier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was. Yeah, I like the montage, and I especially like the where Robbie meets with Tory back in school. It's like it was awesome.
Which that's another plot thread. Like, how did he get back into school?
You know something too I want to point out.
Where is this?
You know that Daniel and Amanda scene? They seem to like as you would say, like flip the script on that. You know, like where for Daniel, from season 5, like where Daniel like thinks like, oh, everything's fine, Terry Silver's gone, there's no reason to worry, but Amanda is like the one thinking, well, unless he finds a way to get the charges dropped, or who decides to come out of the shadows. So it's kind of like a reverse in a sense from the conversation that they were having in episode 1 of season 5 and now season 6 episode 1.
Something interesting that I may talk about, like Daniel says to her, oh, after the Sekai Taikai, I'm hanging up the gi. Do you believe him? Does anyone believe him?
Nope.
No, I think he might have been. I think he might have been telling the truth in the moment, but I think in the end he's gonna wind up taking up the gi. It's a part of Daniel. Like Kreese said it best: you can leave karate for a while, but karate will never leave you. And it's just hard to.
I completely disagree.
What?
I actually think they're setting it up very well for Johnny to take over and do whatever he wants with Miyagi-Do, whether he decides I could teach Cobra Kai again, because for Stingray to put that in, there's got to be some reason why that was put in. So in the end, I could see Johnny reopening Cobra Kai again, but with no need for Miyagi-Do this time. So I could definitely see a way in where you could do that and end the show on a very high note.
And that's possible too. I'm just saying, like in terms of, I just can't see Sam. I just can't see Daniel totally hanging up his gi for good. Well, I just meant that. Yeah. I think he's always gonna have. I think he may change his mind and just continue being a sensei.
Did you agree, John? Was that you?
I actually agree with Robert. I think that like he said, they're setting it up for Johnny to to take it over, and Amanda even mentions it and says, well, Daniel, you were thinking that Johnny would take over or you would step aside and so forth. And I sort of called that, before the season. I said I thought he might retire, and I was kidding about to get a dog part when I said that in one of your live streams. But he said he was going to retire, and I think they're setting that up very well. I agree with Robert.
So, it's interesting that the very next scene now, if you guys look, the very next scene is Johnny. And he's talking about how he's going to be opening up more dojos. Oh, we're going to open up Eagle Fangs all over. That's what he's talking about. Of course, then he goes and sees what happened to his dojo. So is that part of it then? Because Johnny is thinking of expanding.
Right. Well, he can do that, but at the end of the day, I think he'll get over this whatever beef with Daniel that they're involved in, and Daniel will finally stop being such a crybaby.
This is actually funny from Big Blue Beats. He lied because he's in the new movie, so it's like, sorry, we already know. Spoiler.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, I don't think I think he's telling the truth in the moment, but I think as far as him stop being a sensei, I think he'll always be a sensei. I think he'll always wear that, he'll always wear that gi. That gi is a part of him. Now Johnny taking over, that's a completely different subject. Like Johnny taking over Cobra Kai or doing whatever, that's a completely different subject. I could totally see that. I could definitely see that. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying, Daniel retiring might not, he might have meant that in the moment, but I don't think he'll ever retire. I think
here's the Stingray scene. Did you guys think it was just some people think, they're setting it up, which is actually what I think too. But like, or is it just like a funny little, like, let's throw in Stingray somehow? He's still
think it's a
hooked on
setup.
Cobra Kai.
If the purpose was to bring Stingray in for a comedic bit, then it wouldn't have been such a meaningful scene with the dialogue, because that was probably the most profound dialogue that ever came from Stingray when he detailed how Cobra Kai meant so much to him and how it can mean so much to other people, like it did to Johnny and like it did to Miguel. And I had a running theory going into this season. I thought that there was a, probably very unlikely chance, but I thought, it would have been cool to enter the Sekai Taikai as Cobra Kai. If Johnny wins against Chosen in the fight in the end, he could have named it Cobra Kai, and they could have gone, and it would have really pissed off Kreese, and it would have shown that it doesn't really matter what the name is. It matters the philosophy that you teach and, the methods that you're teaching to your students, and that the name isn't necessarily the most important part of it. It's just, the title that you give yourself. But instead it's just going to be Miyagi-Do, which I thought was super lame. But I guess we'll get to that in a minute or two. But I thought it was
But I definitely
What I find
what was that,
what I
Robert?
found kind of hilarious is when you put the freeze frame on Stingray, he didn't even take himself seriously enough to give him like a blue belt, red belt, brown belt. He gives himself a yellow belt. So he's still a beginner by all, in terms of karate. He's still a beginner, but he's teaching a bunch of kids. And so I just found that kind of hilarious that he doesn't even take himself seriously enough to give him a higher level belt.
He's the slowest advancing person in the history of the Miyagi-verse. That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone else would be black belts by now.
that calls
I
I
back
agree.
to season
except Stingray. Yeah.
or season 4. Stingray said to, I think it was his neighbor, he said, I think I'm going to get my yellow belt here. He said, pretty soon you're going to see a yellow belt wrapped around my midsection.
That was to the principal at the end of season 2.
Okay, yeah. That's funny. That's a good callback. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So that makes it even funnier because he's giving himself the belt. Nobody actually gave it to him.
A mustard belt. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Here,
But
let's jump back a little bit here.
Wait, hold on.
All right, go ahead, Melissa.
I think they're definitely setting something up here. I think everybody's going back to their roots this season. I think that they're portraying. I think that that's what they're portraying. I think everybody's going to be going, when it comes right down to it, everyone's going to be going back to their roots, and I think that's what Johnny's going to be doing in season 6, going back to his roots. And I think him maybe rebranding, like running Cobra Kai the way that the way he always intended to run it in the Valley is something that we're going to see in season 6 at some point. So I think that this is kind of like setting it up or a foreshadow in a way.
Anyway, let's go back to something we had been predicting for a while. Our favorite double dates.
Yep.
I know, like, I've been talking about it, Melissa's been talking about it. Did you guys, what did you like? Did you think it was happening like this? Like, look at how thrilled they all are. Just any thoughts on this, and then we'll get to Kenny, Sean, and all that.
Tori must have
I wanted to see a full out brawl. It would have been funny to see those two, and then all of a sudden make up like Miguel and Robbie did.
Yeah.
Make up, not make out, people. She didn't say make out. She said make up. She said make up.
Tori's voice sounded really weird in this episode. I think she was sick when they were filming it, but her voice was like really deep.
I thought she looks odd. Like here, like something. She doesn't look like herself.
Yeah,
that was actually. I mean, that's still my take now. Just looking at it right now.
Yeah, so I think she might have been sick during the filming, because when I heard her, I was like, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Yeah, it was like she looked really unhappy to be there,
Like in real life, I mean, her character was unhappy.
Yeah, like real
right.
life.
Yeah, like Tory, I mean, as a character, not necessarily Peyton List, but Tory, I mean, as a character, looked really like she was unhappy to be there, or she was apprehensive or felt out of place. But I mean, especially when Robbie said it was Miguel's idea, or was it? Am I getting that backwards?
One of theirs.
Yeah, I thought it was a good icebreaker, but yeah, Tori looked like she was, really apprehensive to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I give my thoughts?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, when I first theorized the scene, I actually kind of like pictured it like differently. I thought like Sam and Tori would just like, they wouldn't fight, but they would let their competitiveness with each other kind of like get in the way, like, and it would just be a lot more interesting, a lot more fun than what we had here. Here it looks like they're in a funeral.
Yeah.
Like, or would rather be at a funeral, and it's kind of like cements how different they are as people. And it's like they don't know what they are with each other, and it's kind of like their boyfriends are just kind of like trying to push them to be friends, and it's kind of like it needed to happen on their terms, not on anyone else's.
Yeah.
So in the beginning part of this, it was kind of like, well, I wish they had done it the way I theorized it. It would have been way more fun, but
yeah, I think you and I and a lot of us who thought of such a thing, we're thinking of it more as like a fun scene, not this downer scene where like, I don't want to be here with you.
Yeah, and then we got the like where they were talking about college plans, and Tori was like, she felt, I think this is kind of like a foreshadow, like in a sense, like Tori kind of feeling like she's out of place here in Miyagi-Do. Like she doesn't, like she's an outsider. And I think in a sense that's why when it was revealed that she went back to Cobra Kai, it was a shock, and not a lot of us liked it. I didn't like it, but at the same time, though, we understood in our hearts.
Right. So anything else about these two before, and then we'll jump to like Kenny, because he's there too. I guess not. So, okay, so Robbie's basically chasing him, like some guys chase girls. Robbie chases his former protege, who's taller than him now. Like Kenny's taller. Okay, Sean. A little tough. And then basically, let's see, we get here. All right, we get to the brawl here. What did we all think of this sort of fight here, which, featured these two, and then ultimately the girls step in too. I can find it.
Man, poor Kenny. That's all I got to say about him in this season. Because, and we'll get to this, like when, his brother was talking to him that, hey, perhaps your karate isn't great because of the aggressiveness, and I've seen this, before, and you don't want to end up in. But he got his butt kicked by two girls, and they definitely showed restraint on him, and I think it just pointed out that he's just not there yet, fully developed with his karate skills and things like that, and nor does hey, nobody wants to like. Fight girls, so I get that too, but it just I think it kind of nerfed Kenny a bit more here. That was my thoughts.
Yeah,
I think Kenny needed to be nerfed, though. I mean, the dude was just
That is
out
true.
of control in season 5.
Yeah.
And now we finally kind of put Kenny back in his place and say, hey, look, you're not top dog here. And I think that was kind of necessary. But I liked Kenny a lot more in this season than I did in season 5 and season 4. I think he was a much more likable character, and the conversation between him and Sean really kind of humanizes him in a way that the previous seasons didn't. I feel like in season 5, he came across more as a cartoon villain, whereas here it seemed like he's got a heart in there somewhere. So I liked that part of it.
And real quick, I'll just say too that no, I think actually you saying that it's perfectly spot on, because it was such a big jump for him to he beat Hawk in that, from before. So it's now just kind of putting him back into a lower rank or place there. And my comments too, and Fighting Girls, that's not disparaging anyway at all. Again, because they are really good, but I'm just saying the perception of it, right? Like some people in the crowd would say that's not a good look for Kenny. I'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
When Kenny said, "Back off, Nichols. I don't want to have to hit a girl," and I'm like, and Sam walked up to him and said, "Don't. That's sweet. Don't worry, you won't." I'm like, I couldn't help but laugh, because there's no way he's getting a hit on Sam and Tory. No, neither one of them. That was laughable. He actually thought him thinking he stood a chance against them. No way. Yeah, I get that they had him do. I get that he was able to beat Hawk, but two things: one, the ref was bribed, and two, Hawk was going easy on him. And because Robbie asked him to, if Hawk got serious, he wouldn't have been able to. He wouldn't have been able to He wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was and I like the callback that we got with Miguel with the baseballs, to season 1, where Johnny was teaching him how to punch baseballs. I like the callback there.
Yeah. So
that was awesome.
Anything resolving about Sean and Kenny? I liked Sean here. I think there's a segment of the fandom that likes Sean more than Kenny and wish he were the main guy. But anything else? They resolve. Sean tells Kenny, maybe you were going off the wrong path, and maybe you should go back.
I
thought it was a good scene.
Yeah,
it was well done.
One of my favorites.
It was very well done, and it showed that Sean doesn't want Kenny going down this path. What a great big brother he is, because he knows what this. He basically saw what Robbie saw at the end of season 4. When Robbie said to Johnny that he saw that look in Kenny's eyes when he was after he beat up Anthony. It was very familiar. It felt very familiar territory, and that's what caused him to want to take a step back, and and Sean said he saw that same look and that he's had it, and he doesn't want that for Kenny. He cares about him. He, that's his brother. And he's he doesn't want him going down the same path that he did, that landed him in juvie. And we realized, good for Sean for realizing that Robbie's words were right. That if he held on to this anger, it was going to lead him to juvie, and he didn't want that.
Yeah. So and it brought Kenny back. Okay, let's just skip here to the end, because it is sort of kind of what everyone was looking for at this episode is the name reveal. After all this time, it is Miyagi-Do.
Lame.
So
lame.
1 vote lame. Anyone
I
else?
just kind of think it's the. I just kind of think it's the.
Eagle thing, or the Miyagi thing one, like as a joke, or the actual one at the very end. Which one are you?
The actual one. Yeah,
Okay.
this one here at the very end.
I just think it's probably the writers trolling us or trolling the fan.
I mean, I don't
With
know.
the name, or are they trolling us with the build up?
Well, it's been like everybody, all the fandom was thinking like being Miyagi Fang, and then all of a sudden they troll us. It's gonna stay Miyagi-Do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how I feel. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about it.
You don't know how you
I
feel?
can't really
Okay.
give my opinion.
Matt, what do you think?
Here, because I thought it was really well done. Miyagi thing and Chosen made the joke. It sounds stupid, and the whole. I mean, they made good fun of it, and I know that was also a call to the fans. Were saying that was the most popular name that they thought of there. But to add the eagle to the logo, it's a call out to Johnny. And this is alluding to also you mentioned, like, is he going to retire? I think Johnny, this is the prediction I'm already making, is that I think he's going to be the inheritor of Miyagi-Do, and that he's the most complete. But we'll get to that later. But anyways, no, I like the logo. I like what they did here. So
yeah,
I'm in the minority.
The logo is just gorgeous.
It is a nice logo. I wish maybe the eagle was a little bigger. Maybe the eagle should have fangs. But yeah, it is a good logo. Yeah, well, I mean, Miyagi-Do, I just felt like it was a 2-year build up to get to where we were in 508. So
yeah, because in the Tadum video where they were reading the first episode script, the first thing that they were talking about is what's the dojo name going to be. So
yeah,
it has been a lot of build up for, I think, ultimately not a whole lot of payoff. And
almost the opposite of payoff.
Yeah. So
all right, let's move on here. Number 2. Okay, we opened with young Kreese and Silver, and a young Kim Da-eun with her grandfather. Boy, ooh, he looks tough, man. So anyway, do you feel like this explains Kim Da-eun a little bit, seeing her relationship with her grandfather?
I do, but I don't like. There's something about the scene not to like, and it has to do with why would you choke a 4-year-old kid? I didn't like it in season 2 when they had Stingray beating up on kids. And I don't really care for this either. Why would you include something like that? I don't approve of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, do you think the audience is meant to approve of it? Like, I mean,
I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I'm against the whole that whole thing. I think it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I can respect the opinion, but I feel like there's a lot of things in this show that wouldn't work in real life, but that for the purposes of storytelling, I just kind of interpret it that way. I thought overall that this flashback scene, it served its purpose. For the scene itself, I was okay with it. I have some criticisms with the Kreese storyline that I'll bring up later, but this was okay for me. So
he doesn't. I'm looking. Obviously, this is a stunt, but like he's like actually not even choking. If you look at his fingers, he's just raising her up. But anyway, that's obviously a stunt anyway. So what do we got? Oh,
it reminded me of Breaking Bad,
me?
like where he shoves that the little they were brothers, and it was his uncle, and he put his head in the cooler to teach him a lesson. I don't know if anybody recalls that from Breaking Bad, but it's that obviously he wasn't going to kill her or permanently harm her. It was part of the storytelling to get where they were going. I thought,
yeah.
Yeah, for me, like I sympathize with Kim after seeing the scene. I do sympathize with her. I do feel bad for her. And like nobody should ever raise a hand to a child, and nobody should do that to a kid. Absolutely not. Like, but at the same time though, I can't condone her actions though either. So it's like I feel bad for her, but it's the same, and it's to the point where I understand why she is the way she is now. But at the same time though, I still don't like what she did to Tori. I don't like what, I just can't condone her actions. I understand them a little bit better, but at the same time though, not to the point where I think she's gonna change for the, for the better.
For the better. All right. So let's see. We'll jump ahead.
And I think that kind of like brings into the light that you can understand where it comes from, like what makes a person the way that they are, but that at the same time though, not justify their actions.
Right. Let's just go ahead and stay with the Kreese story here. So we get Kreese and Sensei Kim, and then I don't know where I'll try to like, and then obviously there's the reveal of there it is, Kim Sun Young here. So were you guys expecting this?
We all knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
All predicted.
And then we get more. He's got a little kick in him. And my favorite part is where he says, "He'll never be his why I must stay alive." I'm sorry, it's actually my favorite line of his.
I was just about to say that myself.
Yeah. But so, all these years later, she's done nothing but try to emulate him and honor him, but he's still hard on her. I guess sometimes we're hard on our own family, right? But I guess he's hard on everyone. Anyway, but let's go into the Kreese storyline of this. Kim Sun Young is not in favor of the Sekai Taikai, but he wants Kreese to go get in the knife. Like, what? I mean, and we could just even jump ahead to the knife in the cave. Like, what does everyone make of this?
One thing I was kind of curious about is, how did he know that Johnny was the weakness? Like, I mean, he didn't know Johnny directly, but he knew Kreese was holding something back, and that's why he sent him on this in the first place. So how did he just know that? I mean, is he a mind reader? Like,
maybe he would know that Kreese must have failed at some way, and if you failed, you must have had a weakness.
Or because she shared it with them, maybe. It's just, it was really interesting because he sees weakness in his own granddaughter, and that's why he says he has to stay alive. But he's also telling Kreese, you also have a weakness, and you're weak, and his weakness turns out, to be Johnny. That's just, and it's exactly what Silver told him.
I couldn't help but draw parallels to. And I think this scene borrowed from Star Wars when Luke's training with Yoda and then sends him in that cave and he fights the Darth Vader, but it's like coming from another side of it. So I immediately recognized and felt that as this whole thing was going on, but I don't know, it worked for me. It was fine. I think again, I had no issues with it. I thought it was a fun way to advance the storyline. It was kind of out there, but I'm good with it.
I thought that this.
Go ahead, Melissa, and then we'll go to John.
I thought this scene was very interesting. Like, it's just like, I think, like, it shows how like cunning Master Kim is. Despite his age, and like him knowing that Johnny is Kreese's weakness, like even without saying it, was very captivating. And I think when Kreese had those illusions, I don't know what he was talking about when he said that he always showed mercy to Johnny, because we all know that's not true. Like, was he showing mercy to Johnny when he tried to strangle him over a second place trophy when he was 17 years old? No. So I don't know if it's in his mind that he thinks he's showing Johnny mercy, but I do think that this is very interesting that he's recognizing that if he wants to succeed, he can't have a weakness. And like he's willing to go that length, the length that he wasn't willing to go to before, in order to succeed. So I think like this is where we're seeing a side of John Kreese we never knew, that we never saw before. If you get what I mean.
Right. He's maybe killing his weakness.
Or killing it in a sense in his mind. Like I don't think he would ever really kill Johnny in person. I think when it gets to that point, I don't think he'll do it. But I think in his mind, like he's clearing his mind of that weakness. He's shedding his mind of that weakness.
Right.
So that he can go all in on Cobra Kai.
John, what did you have to say?
I think that the whole we kind of went through that in season 5 with this Kreese and his weakness stuff, where he was sitting in the psychiatrist's office, and the psychiatrist was talking to him, and young Johnny and Terry and everybody else, Captain Turner, and all showed up. So I didn't really think that part was necessary to do that again. They're recycling again. Here we have a case where they're recycling things. So I found this to be repetitive.
A little repetitive. Yeah, he has done the Vision before. The one difference is in Captain Turner's in the Office in season 5, it was a de-aged, it was young Johnny, but here it's adult Johnny. So that is the one difference, right?
Right.
We have adult Johnny instead of, so take that for what it is. He's seeing Johnny as he is today, at the very least. Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's good to be specific too. His weakness is not Johnny himself. It's not wanting to watch Johnny lose. Because Kreese is the one who said that himself. He never wanted to see Johnny lose because he knew it would send him in a spiral. So Johnny himself, not the weakness. It's the fact that he's going to have to beat Johnny, and Johnny's going to have to lose, and he can't hold back.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting take. Okay, he kills the snake. He comes back and presents it to
excuse me, WatchParty?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to I'm not going to exit the stream. I have to go for a little bit. But I'll be back before right before you get to the end of the episode.
Just go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's fine.
Yeah,
just go ahead and you can just mute yourself. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Anyway, he brings the knife and the snake's head. Anything else about the conclusion of this? Then we'll go back to the kid characters, which have a lot going on in this. Yeah, go ahead.
The conclusion, and this is my criticism of the entire Kreese storyline in this season, though, is the one thing where I think it's conflicting with his character and motivations. is from Karate Kid 1 and through Cobra Kai, Kreese has always been strongly USA. You know, we've seen those kind of things, and what do you want to call it, nationalistic, patriotic, whatever. But where he's ending up is he's training Koreans and to primarily fight against Americans, you know. And that's the one thing I'm kind of struggling with. Like, I'm like, would Kreese, you know, really do that? And
yeah.
So,
I mean, I'll just
but,
jump in. Like, I had a little confusion because it seemed established from season 5. The Sekai Taikai, it's not like one dojo represents the country. It's not like an international thing in the sense of like every country is represented by one dojo, because already they gave the USA 2 entries, right? They did that in season 5. So it's not like a country thing, even though they do represent the country generally. So so in theory, there's no, you know, and obviously there's no rules against citizens of another country representing a dojo. It's like that stuff happens in like the World Cup and such. So I thought they should have like American flags on their Kreese and Tory. Like I thought that would have made sense. Kreese at least still has the South Korean flag. But yeah, I agree. I find it a little odd. Just in what we're seeing doesn't seem to be matching with what we saw before. But yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
You know, okay, let's jump back to the kids. So a lot's going on here. This is like all the college talk. So they're like touring colleges, right? So, you know, I mean, just anything. I will say, like I've said in my streams, low stakes storyline. But we do get the return of Kyler and Brooks as well. So anyway, anyone want to jump in on any of this? You know, and then we'll basically jump to the frat fight.
In my opinion, it's probably just filler. Not really anything to go on to the story, just kind of filler.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I thought it was the whole episode, to be honest, was a lot of filler, but I mean, it had fun moments and stuff. That there was things I enjoyed about this particular episode. But it did very little to advance the story, you know. So,
yeah,
I do think it was mostly filler, but it did, however, you know, show a philosophical Kyler, in admitting his mistakes to Miguel, and him giving Miguel what Miguel thought was pretty good advice. And I think Miguel will carry that with him. In whatever he does.
So it was good for Miguel. It's also, by the way, the introduction of the maybe Hawk doesn't want to go to MIT plot line too. However vague. Yeah, I mean, anything about the frat fight. I have my own thoughts. I put it in my review, I think. As well as Kyler. So what do you guys think? Was it as cool as you were hoping, or what?
Like I said earlier, especially the fighting part, it was not near as good as I was hoping for. The best overall scene was Kyler's block and the throw at the end that we're just seeing now. It's like the rest of it just felt kind of like, you remember your thoughts on season 2, episode 5, Watch Party? It felt kind of like that. Like they just kind of threw it all together and saw what stuck. Because when you watched it in the trailer, you watch Miguel do the front kick and then the side kick, and it looks full speed and it looks really good. But then when you watch it in the slow motion that they do, it looked really dumb. And it kind of just lost it for me at that point. I like the rest of you know, of the fighting. I like Hawk's flying knees, you know, that stuff looked pretty cool. It also kind of made Dimitri look like he's pathetic again. And I mean, he made it all the way to the semifinals of the All Valley. So why would he suddenly run away from 3 guys? I mean, throw the cups, yes, all that, but why run away? It was all over the place.
I agree.
Yeah. I just didn't like the song. I'll say it again. I said it on the stream. I think I put it in the in the review. I did whatever that song was. I did.
The song made
Yeah.
it a little corny, and in that song, I don't think I would have felt this way otherwise. But the fight lasted. The whole scene was like pretty lengthy. You know, I remember thinking like the fight scene went on, and I think I would have liked it a lot more if it was a different music choice. And it was kind of cool at the beginning, but I just felt like that the music went on too long. Let's just put that.
Fair enough. Okay, we got another little plot line. I'll let you guys just jump in if you have anything about any point of this. That, you know, Johnny house hunting and then ends up at LaRusso Auto, selling a car on his first day. Anyway, what do you guys think? Nothing. There you go. They're thrilled, everyone. They're thrilled.
I thought it was kind of cute. Like, he automatically assumes that Daniel was offering him a job. So he just storms right in Johnny style and sells a car, and he's hired. I thought it was.
Yeah, you got to strike first. How about that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I did think it was. I've always thought that eventually Johnny and Daniel would be employer and employee. And this, I figured it would come to that at some point because, you know, Johnny, I don't know how he's making his living before, but it made sense that he would go look for a steady job with a baby on the way, and that he would grow up a little bit. So I thought it was a pretty good thing, and that he tried to work things out with Daniel, and Daniel gave him an opportunity.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and Johnny's very open and honest. So that's the kind of guy you typically want to buy a car from versus the quote unquote sleazy car salesman.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of fit
Coles
that
of
he
the
would
world.
be able to.
Yeah. You're gonna look so hot driving this. Like that's something definitely Johnny would say, and I think it would work as a salesman. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, let's jump to number 3. Sleeper. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, the baby shower or whatever it is. Okay. Daniel here, this was the thumbnail. Or wait. Shoot. Give me back. Okay, just anything on Daniel thumbnail, all pink.
Not a good look.
Not a good look. Daniel, it's not working for you, man.
I when he said that to you, that I'm too old for this. Like, I thought in that moment, hey, I kind of agree with you. You know, anyway, like I think they're just showing their age more, and in some parts, like that's. I'm glad the season's ending now when it should. I think it's the right time for it and all that. But I did him coming out like this. I don't know. It was not a good look for Daniel. So.
Was everybody getting the feeling like Johnny knew what was going on too and was just setting him up?
I never thought that. I mean, I assumed it was genuine.
Well,
but I think Melissa had said that too.
They legitimately looked very worried about the package.
I guess that is legitimately very worried. I don't think. I mean, is it like a prank this elaborate, Johnny style? I don't know. I just think like he's just, well, maybe it's Crease. You opened it. Yeah. But anyway, a fun little moment to open the show. Okay, let's go back to the Cobras. We basically now have the introduction of Quan. As sort of the rebellious Cobra. So what's your take on Quan and Kreese's connection with Quan?
I think he sees a lot of Johnny in him.
A lot of Johnny.
Like rebellious and bad, well, not bad attitude, but badass kind of thing.
Badass.
I think he's a younger Kreese, because, you know, in Karate Kid 1, Kreese ordered Johnny to, quote, finish him when it came to Daniel. And as we'll get to later on, you see that in Quan. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, but I do think that makes him a younger version of Kreese. And I think, that, as we'll get to later, we'll see more callbacks to Karate Kid 1 than with Quan. Because he's basically a younger carbon copy of Kreese.
Did you guys like Quan? Like, well, I mean, just what was your overall take on him?
He's got
one thing that
yeah.
He's an
I'm sorry.
interesting character.
He's a what?
He's a very interesting character. And it makes you want to see more of this character and what his path will be.
Yeah.
You could tell that when Kreese is looking at him, what he's looking at is, this is what I have to build everybody else into to win. Because everybody that was trained before, he saw them as, well, that was just like me before. Now this is the guy that's more like who Kreese is trying to be now, and is ready and, as he said, heartless. There's just nothing in him that screams, I can be saved. Like, he really wants to be the bad guy. And that's what Kreese is trying to do at this point. So I think he was trying to use this one man to mold the rest of his fighters the way that he wants them to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So he's like the example for everyone else, or the mold for everyone else, to use your word. Definitely interesting. Punish them. Let's go. So that basically here, then we'll just sort of finish out the Quan Yun fighter. The Quan, he fights 3 people here. What did you guys think of this fight?
I thought this fight particularly was the most the coolest one in there, the one with the most stakes, or that I was invested in. Yeah. I don't know if also the double kick. I'm sure that's a stunt person, but yeah, right here, that is just damn cool. Like, I just like how the fight played out in this.
No, I think Brandon did this.
Yeah. It's
if you guys listen, by the way, I mean, if you listen to Peter interviewed him, Cobra Kai Companion, the podcast, it's on YouTube as well. So Brandon was a stunt fighter. He did Taekwondo his whole life. He worked as a stunt double and then tried to move into acting. So I mean, while he has a stunt double, I mean, he's doing essentially all his own stunts, being a stunt double himself at one point. So yeah, he's doing all of this. He tells stories about it and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that scene right there made me want to know more of his backstory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go. A great one. Yeah. So yeah, it was my favorite fight, I think, of part 1 anyway. He takes the tag and he's now the top student of the dojo. There you go. So pretty good. I like it. I would have been funny to see him sewing it off screen or something. Okay. Anyway, the next main storyline really of this is the girls, right? So that's Johnny's going to be a girl dad, and he's got a problem because Tori and Sam have lost their fighting spirit. So what do you think of this? Were you expecting this or what? Anyway,
honestly, no.
No,
I was not expecting this, because when we were discussing it in our previous member chats, we all kind of felt like these two would never be friends, and that they would kind of always have this strong animosity to each other. And they totally threw us for a loop. We were 100% wrong on that. They decided to make them as close to friends as you can. And so I did not expect them to have problems fighting each other. That was just that was strange to me.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
back.
like they became friends. Yeah, go ahead, Robana.
I'm back. I just want to let
Oh.
you know.
Oh, okay. Here we were just talking. Did you expect like Tori and Sam to almost be afraid to even attack each other? Look at that. Oof.
Yeah, that was like a shocker. Like that was real. That was a real surprise. I always thought that they would always like. I always knew that they would always come together as a team, but as after especially after season 5, but like I always thought that there would always be a competitiveness between them. Just like from the from the beginning. That's why I found it hard to see them as friends, because of how different they are as people. And so this episode kind of just threw me through a loop, because when I first watched it, I felt like it was kind of like they were trying to force them to be friends, and I felt like that should have been something that happened naturally. On its own. But it's like, that scene was beautiful. That scene where they apologized to each other, that was beautiful. That's
Hold on, let's get to that. We'll get to that. Let's jump ahead to the slumber party, because you guys were talking about this at the beginning. A lot of fun. Slumber party, Johnny chaperone, Ouija board, funny, amusing. Some people said creepy. I disagree with that. I think it's just.
I thought it was.
Johnny,
I thought it was so
yeah.
Johnny. I thought it was so like this. I would love to go to a girls' slumber party with Johnny as the host. It would be weird, but I would love it.
I think this is another example of, hey, that this wouldn't work in real life, but for the show and for it was I actually really like this, and I was laughing hysterically through most of the part. So I thought it was a show,
I agree.
The turn that they took with Sam and Tori, that was something I was not expecting, and it was a happy surprise,
Oh, sorry. I like Johnny eating the cucumber, just like the Ouija board can bring people together. Yeah. Well, he was using the Ouija.
Really
He was using the Ouija board to try and push them apart because he wanted them to hate each other again. All right, Johnny texting, and then let's find. Okay, so here's the climactic scene. Sam and Tori. I guess what Melissa, you said you weren't quite expecting this.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, and it was a nice surprise. It was really, really touching. Ralph, hats off to you. You did an amazing job. They went to levels with these two that I never expected to be at. To really be at. I mean, honestly, when I first watched this, in regards to the friendship, I just I felt at first I felt it was kind of weird and a bit maybe forced, they're trying to squeeze it into 5 episodes. And I felt like that was something that they should have taken their time on. But at the same time though, it was a good thing. It was nice and refreshing to, see these two girls who polar opposites, just put the past behind them and just come together and to talk things out and get past their past issues and just give being friends a try, and I think that kind of sets up I think that also sets up for part 2. They're past their old issues, but now there's going to be new issues for them to overcome, and for them to overcome. And we're going to see if they're strong, if they're really strong enough to, if with the friendship that we saw in part 1 is actually going to be what is actually strong enough, is actually going to be present in part 2. You know,
when they're on different sides.
Yeah, like whether or not
Um,
it's real friendship, you know, whether or not it's
right.
real or not.
Robin, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't comment on Sam and Tori as much as some of the other girls, but what do you think of this?
I thought it was a very touching scene. I mean, Peyton did an awesome job with it, and it just gives the two characters very much closure on their arguing, and so that's all I can think of saying.
Okay, there you go. No, that's fine. I mean, because it is like basically the conclusion of 4 seasons of animosity, antagonism between the two of them. So, I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, we wrapped it up there. I mean, at least for now.
That's the word I
For
was looking
now.
for. It brought both girls closure on the past.
Right. Anyway, so Chosen needs a new room. He's going to stay in Miyagi's room, and lo and behold, they find the chest of many things, or bag of many things, whatever it is. What do you guys think? Okay, so we talked a little bit about the Miyagi stuff, but anything more specifically, and then about this storyline with the we'll get to the boxing, the boxer and everything too.
In my opinion, I think it's probably setting up something to go further from Karate Kid 4, because the name Keisuke was from the Karate Kid 4. I had mentioned that before in one of your live streams. So I think it's setting up something for them to, like Ralph said in one of his interviews, it's a treasure hunt for him to find out more and more and more about Miyagi's past. And I think in the end, it's going to be a nice reward for that one. And we're not, as I said earlier, I don't think they're going to tarnish Miyagi's legacy, but they're just going to add upon it. And we find out more in the backstory of why, like in Karate Kid 3, where he was telling Daniel that not to fight for plastic trophies or something like that. We can just find out why he does not like to fight and why he doesn't like tournaments. And I think this is going to answer a bunch of those questions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely so. It's you know what? It's not so much. I don't think they were even questions. It's providing answers to questions you didn't realize you had. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. WatchParty so far, and we'll see where we take this. And I trust the writers, and I think they'll make something good of this. But it just feels unnecessary to me. Like it didn't really do anything for me. I didn't find it entertaining, or I don't know. But I'm willing to give this a chance. And obviously, they're setting up something, so we'll see where they take this. But so far, it's just I don't know.
So you don't know? Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Obviously, I've said what I think. I think they're cleaning up the timeline somewhat because okay, so one thing we should note, this is Mr. Miyagi, and we do know this is not like a young picture of Pat Morita. This is a new actor. Now whether it's someone else that Miyagi had his passport or took his identity, or this is a new actor to play young Mr. Miyagi, that is something we're going to have to look out for. But that is just one interesting note about that passport. But yeah, we got a little bit more here from him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what this brought. You know what? When we go back to if you go back to that treasure chest, where we see the boxing gloves, you know what that makes me think of? It makes me think of Rocky, like the Rocky films.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot in these shows about Rocky.
Yeah, but it's like to see the boxing gloves, it kind of makes me feel like they're like more like, it kind of gives me like Rocky, really stronger Rocky vibes. And I think I agree with Robin. As long as they don't, like, it's kind of like a cautious kind of like a cautious ground that they're taking, but as long like we have like I agree with what you and Robin said. We have more questions that we didn't know that we didn't know we had about this character. And that we want answers to just as much as Daniel does. And it's kind of like this is gonna expand on the essence of Mr. Miyagi. Like why, like what made him who he was.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
And and I have a feeling that as much like we're all going to be like wondering, should they be doing this? Like, should they be touching this? Should they be touching this on this? But I think in the end, it's going to be like, we're going to be glad that they did, because it's going to open up a whole new doors that we didn't know were
that a
there.
spinoff could take place, right? New doors.
Well, yeah, that. And at the same time, though, it's like when you expand on a character, you always want more. You always want more explanations, and it's like it kind of makes you view the character in not just a different light, not necessarily a different light, but a better light. And I think that's what will happen with Mr. Miyagi. We'll view him in a better light, better than what we did before.
I think it was Ralph who was saying too in an interview, says that he'll find out that his mentor was not perfect. He's not.
I think it'll be the first time we see Mr. Miyagi as a person, not as a mentor, an all-knowing, wise mentor that we knew him in Karate Kid, in the Karate Kid series.
Yeah, they humanized him.
Yes. Fuller picture. Real quick, because we haven't actually even touched on Chosen, but here Chosen looks like he buys a ticket back to Okinawa. I mean, any other thoughts on Chosen here in part 1?
In my opinion, they went to that one too fast. They just kind of, one minute he's there and the next he's gone for like the rest of the season. So we get no explanation, no nothing. And it would be interesting to see why. Well, we know why he left, but would like to see that conversation with Daniel saying, I'm going back to Okinawa. But they did it all off screen. So I guess they didn't have time.
Yeah. I would say it was like they never even acknowledged Chosen was gone. It was almost a little disjointed.
Amanda was probably doing her happy dance on the inside.
Well, what's funny is like he's moving out of the LaRusso home. Like that's the story here. He's moving into this home or to the room here. And then once this is his first day in the room, and then he buys a ticket and leaves. It's like, if I'm not staying at the LaRusso house, I'm just leaving America.
Yeah, but it was like when he said to Daniel and Amanda that he's staying permanently, Amanda was like, "Wait a minute, that wasn't part of the deal." And it was like, and it was like, when we saw that ticket, I was like, I agree. I think that they should have had a scene where Daniel at least says goodbye where Chosen at least says goodbye to Daniel and Johnny, or at the very least have Daniel and Johnny mention it to the students about Chosen going back to Okinawa.
We didn't see Chosen mentoring anyone. People were looking for that to be told.
I was too. But I was like, Amanda's
probably... Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
I was thinking that he's buying the ticket to Okinawa and he's going to come back with Kumiko.
I would love that.
Perhaps there is a scene with Daniel and Johnny saying goodbye to him and it got cut. So maybe we'll see that in a DVD in a cut scene.
I hope so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, Amanda's probably doing her happy dance that Chosen's on the inside, that Chosen's gone back to Okinawa.
Yeah.
Well, 3 months is just overstaying. You're welcome.
Last for long. Yeah. All right. Before we get the return, let's just go with it. The return of the power rankings. Hayden's like, we love when fans do power rankings and such. So that he said this episode is sort of a salute to all the fans' power rankings. So that's Hayden on episode 4. What do you think? Also the return of Mike Barnes. Were you guys I mean, obviously we got Barnes in a in the teaser, you know, a scene, so it was we knew this was coming, but otherwise, like, what did you guys think?
I'm really glad they brought Barnes back. I think that his training and being the one to select him made total sense, given the differences between Johnny and Daniel. And you know, I think most people felt like they didn't get enough of Barnes last season there, so glad they brought him back for this. Hope to see more of him too in future episodes.
Yeah.
I, for one, thought it was really great that they brought him back. I thought it was very expected because we all knew he has tournament experience, and it was necessary that it was inevitable that he returns to Miyagi and teaches the Miyagi-Do students. And I also like the fact that he wasn't showing favoritism or being biased towards any students, and I think that was really good. I think that was actually kind of refreshing too. Like, we're so used to certain senseis being biased towards certain other students that when Mike Barnes came in, you knew that that was not going to happen. Like, he was going to treat everybody equally. And certain students didn't like that, but that's how you do it, you know? That's how, because this is not a tournament where you could just send in whoever and be expected to walk away with nothing more than a trophy. Like, this is like, people have died in this tournament, and it's important that skills and strength are measured in the students, and you have to be fair. You have to be equal. You know, it's like, it's not a choice of who your favorite is. It's like, who's the strongest, who's the most skilled, who can survive this tournament, who can't, you know? And that's what I liked about Barnes. Like, he did not beat around the bush, and he was fair. He gave everybody a fair shot.
That's true.
Yeah, he did that even if he wasn't happy about it.
Right.
Because I also did like that I've been saying for a while that I thought we should have somebody come in and be militaristic, and I thought it would be Chosen, but I was glad to see Barnes, you know, kind of go back a little bit to the Barnes of Karate Kid 3, you know. Hey,
bad boy of karate.
I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here for any foolishness. You either want to be in this or you don't. Yeah. You know, so I was glad to see that. And I'm also, you know, Johnny gave Daniel a hard time about wanting to pick Anthony, but there was a part in here where Mike picked Anthony. You know, and I didn't see Johnny complaining about that.
Yeah, it was for the I call it semifinals or whatever, you know, the final, you know, getting close section.
It was a case for me, like, where both senseis were just like accusing each other of basically being biased, so they needed another sensei who wouldn't do that. You know, because Daniel's going to be biased towards Anthony and Sam, and Johnny's going to be biased towards Devin and maybe Tory and Robbie and Miguel. So it's like they needed somebody who, you know, would be straightforward and fair and give the students a taste of what give the students and the two senseis a taste of what they're going to be experiencing when they go to the Sekai Tekai.
Right. So real quick, what do you guys think of the Barnes Johnny fight with Johnny winning? This is actually kind of controversial among the fans. Not everyone likes it.
Yeah, I've heard this as well, that people find this controversial, but you have to understand that these are adult, the modern day adult Johnny and Barnes. Barnes hasn't been training or really been involved in karate that much, and I think it makes sense, and I definitely think this scene, they gave it to us. This is hey, what if Mike Barnes fought Johnny Lawrence, and it's for the fans there. I do think the fight would be totally different, or would go different, if it was prime Johnny versus prime Mike Barnes from Karate Kid films. But no, I think I didn't have an issue with it, and I think that that Johnny is ahead of Barnes in this, that he's been training and he would deserve. He's put in the sweat work to win this fight. So
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think it answered a lot of fan questions. Like if Johnny and Mike Barnes were to get into a fight, who would win? And I think probably in the teenage years, I think Mike Barnes would win. But as adults, I agree, Johnny, because Mike hasn't been training for 30-something years, so it makes sense.
There you go.
Well, then you also add in the fact that Johnny has shown a lot of growth, while Barnes really, like, we get one scene where he talks about his growth, but it's not like he's really developed anything. It's just been he's still really the same guy versus Johnny, who is a whole different person.
I mean, Barnes even said that, ever since, Silver burned down, his stories feels like he's been facing his old demons. And so it's kind of like he regressed a little bit. Yeah. And that's why, but Johnny hasn't, he's only grown.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also allowed, because Johnny has always been close to Devin, and Mike didn't really care for Devin. And Johnny said, "No, you don't understand. You can't not give her an opportunity." I think it kind of helped both of them.
Yeah.
It helped Johnny to prove his point, and it helped Barnes to, confront some things about himself.
True. But at the same time, though, Mike did give Devin an opportunity. He gave her the same opportunity. Like I said, he was being fair. He was doing his job as a sensei. He has to pick the one that's most skilled and the strongest. This is not the All Valley tournament. He's speaking on experience. People have died in this tournament. So it's like he was giving Devin a fair shot. He just was tough while he was doing it, and he has to be. Yeah. Like this Mike Barnes that we get, this is the Mike Barnes he has to be. Like the Barnes that we met at, that Daniel met at the furniture store, the nice guy, that's who he generally is as a person. But this is business, the what we were getting in training, that was that's business. He has to be like that.
It's true. Okay, well, let's jump to the end of the qualifiers. We'll just wrap it all in one. Devin pumps the laxatives into Kenny's water. He has a pooping accident and misses the flag. Meanwhile, Devin is able to get the flag, and then Hawk and Dimitri end up on the same path, with basically Dimitri maybe cheap shotting Hawk here and coming back with the flag for the win. Basically this cap of this storyline. What do you guys think of it? I mean, is this what you were looking for? Anything about that?
Well, for starters, I'm gonna just say what everybody's thinking is they did Kenny dirty. Like very, very dirty.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
A
but
smelly dirty.
Not to mention that it was a frame up. Kenny thinks that Anthony did it.
Yeah, and
So that's going to start their whole deal all over again.
Well, hopefully it gets resolved, but yeah, that's going to be repetitive for that one.
Yeah.
And once again, this was the only way it could be done without having one of the guys fight a girl. Like, you had to have something that could be explained. Otherwise, you have to split it up. Robbie and Hawk, have them go opposite directions. And then you have to have Hawk fight someone. And then you have to have Dimitri fight someone. And it's like, and one of them is going to end up fighting the girl. So this way it was able to be done where you could still write some problems between Kenny and Anthony while at the same time avoiding the physical fight between the boy and the girl.
Yeah,
I agree.
I definitely think that I was actually shocked that that it was Devin that put the laxatives. I didn't think it was Anthony. I thought maybe I don't know, and I don't know why I thought this, but I thought maybe it might have been like either Barnes or Johnny that might have done it. To give Devin or Johnny that might have done it to give Devin a fair shot, or what he thought was a fair shot. But like when it was revealed, like Devin, I didn't approve of it, but and when it was revealed that it was Devin, and like she stood there and she said nothing when Kenny accused Anthony, like I was like, okay, this is a major step backwards for her character. Like,
well, if you go to it like when Johnny and her are talking, Johnny says to her, do what you must, or do win, or something like that. Do
your best. I think
there's a sign. Yeah, he says that to us. So nobody was expecting her to actually like cheat, but at the same time, Johnny had told her to do anything she can to win.
But he didn't mean that though. Like if he would have found, if he, I guarantee you, when he finds out what Devin did, he's going to be disappointed in her.
Oh, I agree.
He's not going to be happy, and he's going to make sure Devin knows that.
Yeah, Devin's a winner. It's kind of almost a touch of Terry Silver. Do you think?
But see, the thing, something though, and this actually brings up my point. This is why I think that it's a step back for her character, because when in the season finale fight, when Kim said, "Don't let Nichols cloud your judgment. You're the future of this dojo. You could be a champion if you just stick with me." And Devin says, "Oh, I will be a champion, but I'll get there my way, not yours." This kind of like takes a step back, because what she did is a Cobra Kai move, like cheating, fighting dirty, cheating to win. Like that's Cobra Kai. Not like that's Kreese and Kim's and Terry Silver's Cobra Kai, not Johnny's. Yeah. But that's not her way of winning. That kind of like takes back that quote.
Right. What were you saying, Robert? Was that you? Who was that?
No, it's Matt.
Matt.
It's funny that you say that with Terry Silver, because after watching this a couple times too, I guess it's a theory, but we don't. And I'm skipping ahead, but Kenny kind of disappears, right? Mm-hmm. I think that if Terry Silver were to come back and to have a connection with fighters, right? It's going to be It's going to be Kenny and Devin, So I don't know. We'll see, but maybe they're setting something up here,
I don't know. I don't know about that, because when Sean was talking to Kenny in the first episode, he was like he disapproved of Silver, like that, is like that ponytail guy that got arrested. Like I don't think Kenny would go back with Silver, like, and because of that conversation with Sean.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. I mean, I guess that's part 2. I definitely think Silver will be back. All right. Well, we got our team. So let's go ahead and move to the last one. Long episode. Best of the best. We'll make you better. Okay. Okay, right off the top. Yeah. Okay. Kreese shows up. Like, what did you guys think? I was a little surprised, to be honest.
It was
I
very
was
random
surprised
because he's a wanted man, and so
Yeah.
how can
Well,
you get
The
through
cops
the?
don't suck.
Sorry,
No,
The cops-
what were you saying? Finish your thought, Robin.
I was gonna say, he's a wanted man. So how can he get to the United States, then fly back to Korea, just to talk to Tory? Maybe he's a. I don't know. It kind of left my head scratching a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry about that, Robin. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I really didn't. I'm
Just go
sorry.
ahead,
It's
Melissa.
okay.
I was gonna say, well, to answer your question, Robin, the police in this universe suck. They really suck.
What
I
police?
think
There's
that's
nothing
what
there.
they said.
Yeah,
Like they don't exist.
the
unless
police in this
karate
universe
police,
leave a lot
they
to
don't
be
exist.
desired, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They don't exist. They're just there to show that there's at least some law enforcement. But they're just there for they're just there to show up. Like they're not there to actually do their job.
Mhm.
I was actually surprised. I was really surprised. And I think that him showing up, I think we actually shouldn't have been surprised. I think it was like we were surprised, but we shouldn't have been because in episode 3, at the end, when Chris says to Kim, there's one final piece of the puzzle that we're still missing, it immediately cut to Tory. Like that was like a subtle foreshadow that he was coming for her. And so to see him here, like at first I was shocked.
Mhm.
Because I honestly think we were going to get introduced to new female fighters too, as well as the male. But and then when he started saying about how she'll always be second fiddle to Sam, and I was like, this is going to come back. Like I could already see the seeds that he was putting in Tori's head. And granted, I didn't know that they were going to show the way that they did in episode 5 and in this episode, but I was like, oh no, we're going to get another, please don't let them go back to back to Tory hating Sam, please. And
so, okay. Yeah, I mean the crease thing. Let's go ahead and hey, Brianna 25. Thank you for coming on. Did you see it? John said, sorry guys, to hijack the thing here, but John said, oh, Brianna hadn't seen the 5 episodes yet. I hope you have, because this would be a spoiler if you haven't. What's on the screen right now. But okay, anyway, but for the rest of us here, let's jump ahead. Tori's storyline. So yeah, it starts with the doctor saying, "Hey, this is great. She's getting better." And then what happens? And so I think the question what's on everyone's mind is, did WatchParty kill Grace Nickel?
Oh, I think you might have. I think you might have. I wouldn't put it past you. I wouldn't put it past you. Like you have that effect on you have that effect on people. Like
I have that effect on people. I've killed people. There you go, everyone. That's from Melissa. I have that effect on people. They end up dead on the floor.
What I mean is, like, when you say you're going to kill somebody, if you say you're going to do something, like if you say you're going to kill Tori's mom, you go ahead and do it.
But that picture, that scene does look a little suspicious when you say, I mean, she has her fist clenched. So what happened?
Yes, many people have talked about that. The fist clench. Any theories there? And obviously, we have this cut right here. The camera is deliberately fast forwarding or zooming in on it.
I have a theory. First of all, I don't buy the theories that Kreese went in and killed Tori's mom. No, I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's a line he would cross because he knows what it's like to lose him. To lose his mother. Like he just wouldn't do that. I mean, as dark as they're making Kreese this season, I don't think he's that dark.
You think it was Silver, Melissa?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't think maybe it might have been Silver either. I don't know, but I can't answer that. But this is where I'm going to get my theory. I think Kreese may have taken a page out of Captain Turner's book where he knew about Tori's mom possibly being dead on the floor. And that's how he knew where to find Tori, where Tori was at the hospital or doctor. That's how he knew like where she was. And I think Kreese might have actually made that fist in Tori's mom's hand, so that when Tori would find her. I think Kreese knew that Tori's mom had died, but he didn't tell her because he knew that this would be the thing to bring her back to him.
So he knew. He didn't kill her. What you're saying is, but he already knew.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting theory, and it is possible. It would almost make sense. He would go to her place first,
Yeah.
Rather than the
made
hospital parking lot or something.
Yeah, and he made that fist in Tori's mom's hand so that when she would find her and see her, and like that would mean that would make Tori easily manipulated back over to him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you guys have sung some praises. What do you think of Peyton List here? You guys have definitely look at that. There we go. Anything about Peyton List here or later in the episode?
This entire episode is where she should get an Emmy nomination.
Emmy nomination from John. Robin, yes. What is it?
No, she did a very good job. I think she
very
did
good job. There you go.
Excellent acting here.
Tori needs an Emmy. Yeah.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Like they really captured the strength and humility mm-hmm. in her. And like I was at levels with Tori's character that I didn't think I would ever be. Like mm-hmm. even when I started loving her, like I swear if Peyton doesn't get like at least a global, or like an Emmy or a global award for this performance.
Something, I'm just noticing. I didn't even notice. Look at her shirt. Hearts break. Sad.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that until I'm just sitting here like looking at this right now. But I like that. I think that's a nice little touch from costume designer Frank Helmer.
But yeah, like she really she was the star of this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There was a release interview. Someone asked that to John, Josh, and Hayden, and John, it's like what character is surprising you most, and he's like, Tori, her story in this, and definitely in this episode. What do you guys think of the flashback? There's definitely a lot here. We get to see her and her mom. She's they of course cast the absolute cutest little girl to play Tori. And, there are some scars on her mom, the mermaid, and then, the little cap with the power pill or whatever it was, power protection.
I thought
anything from the flashback. Yeah. Beautiful.
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it really showed just how important her mom is to her, how much she loved her, and it's like that really mm-hmm. if your heart wasn't broken, like when you saw that scene where she we're in that hospital scene where she was told that passed away, it breaks right here because mm-hmm. it's like you really see it. And yeah, like what Brianna said, when I saw those scars, it's like it mirrored like the scars that Sam has on her arm. So that kind of it kind of says something, mm-hmm. about kind of draws that connection that maybe in terms of personality, Sam is a little bit like her mom, like Tori's mom, in a sense. And like, and when she said to Tori's like, we're fighters, we don't need a prince to fight for us, and we don't know. And Tori's like, we don't know how. She was like, okay, now we kind of like, now we get why Tory always fights first, and
Right.
and we understand it now. We, like I said, I reached levels with Tori's character this season that I never thought I would be at. Like it was just amazing. It's like you really, it's like your heart just really felt her. You know, it's like it was happening to you, and not to someone else. Like that's how like in touch you were with her, with her character especially in that episode.
Well then, okay, so we'll go ahead. Now, obviously, we have then Tory, and something I said in my review. It's not just like I talked about Peyton performing. It's not just that she's playing like, someone distraught because she lost her mom, but it's specifically Tory because Tory's been through so much, and I think that's what really shined through in her performance. I just like how frazzled she looks here. This is actually really good hair and makeup. Just to throw that out there, I think like the hair and makeup really did a good job of just getting it right. And so, but we talked about at the beginning, we also addressed, ultimately her turn here at the very end. But anything else you want to just add in connection to all that with this in the final episode?
I want to point this out. Tori doesn't really look happy, like
with the cobras in this scene.
Yeah, she so I think like she's there because she feels like she has to be, not because she wants to be. So I think that's going to say a lot in part two.
Can she just not be happy because she knows who's standing across the way there?
Yeah,
I mean, it is kind of a big moment for her.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
She's not showing off. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's like she's there because she has to be, and not because she wants to be, and because she feels like she's doing what she has to do. This is not a betrayal. I know a lot of people are saying that Tori betrayed Miyagi-Do. She didn't. She's doing what she feels that she has to do. This is about honoring her mother, and she may go about it she's going about it the wrong way. I'll tell you that right now. But at the same time, though, you got to respect her for that. I mean,
in which case you respect Kreese, man. He dug his claws in deep.
I'm
took advantage of her weakness.
I'm going to go against the grain here, and I'm probably going to make some people angry, but I think that Daniel is entirely to blame for this.
Daniel's the real villain. There we go. Brianna will love this.
Of him not leaving well enough alone, and if he would have, we might not be at this point here.
Okay, you know what? Then that's a good point. Let's jump back slightly here. Then we talked about this. The argument between Johnny and Daniel. Actually, at this point, she had already left. Like they're arguing still after she's gone. Because we were talking about this. Where do you side? Well, let's just ask. We'll just go through. Where do you side on this debate between Johnny? Johnny's like, let him fight, unless she needs it. And Daniel's like, that's it. You're insane. Of course they can't fight. Where do you guys side with this? Just Robin, let me know what you think.
I side with Johnny on this one because, if they let Tori just fight it out, then she wouldn't have left. She wouldn't have a reason to have left the Miyagi-Do, and or else just taken her aside and said, "Look, what's going on here? This is why we stopped." Or, we can finish this later after you're in a
Mhm.
not, well, as Daniel would put it, unbalanced, quote unquote. But yeah, I do honestly just agree with Johnny on this one. Just let her fight as well,
Let her
though.
fight. All right, John. So you said you think they should have fought.
I do. And I also think that Daniel did something out of character for him when he struck first, because he's always told Johnny that was the wrong thing to do, because Mr. Miyagi told him it was the wrong thing to do on multiple occasions. So I think it's a case where Daniel didn't leave well enough alone, and because of that, we're going to find out about who everyone's weakness is through this tournament. I'll get more into that as we go along, but
Right.
I do think Daniel could have left well enough alone and just let them have it out, because either way, they were both going to the tournament. It was not a question of that. It was a question of who's going to be the captain.
Team
right?
captain. Melissa, should they fight it out or call it off?
Both. I think that both
Both.
Daniel and Johnny were right. Were right. I think Daniel was right to stop that fight in the moment, because because Tory was so focused, out of focus. Like she was trapped in her own grief and so fueled with rage, she wasn't seeing what she was doing to Sam on that mat, and she was really gonna hurt Sam in that moment. And if that would have happened, then not only they would have been down 2 fighters for the Sekai Tekai, because Sam would have been too hurt. Like she would have, like Tory was like, Tory could have broken Sam's nose and she would have been put in the hospital, or I knocked her off that deck and she could have been put right back in the hospital, and Tory would have been disqualified if she did that. So they would have been down 2 fighters.
Well, they don't have to disqualify. This is just in their own dojo.
Well, no, but
it's not
what
like
I mean
there's
is,
any
like,
rules.
they wouldn't have allowed her. No, what I mean is they wouldn't have allowed Tory to compete if they put Sam.
They can do whatever they want.
If they put Sam in the hospital. Daniel wouldn't have agreed with that. Like, he has a say too. He's part of this too. Daniel wouldn't have agreed with that. Like, but at the same time though.
All right. And let's go to Robert. Do you have a theory? Should they fight it out or call it off?
It's weird because the psych major in me wants to say easy answer is don't fight it out because you're not in control when you're in grief. And as Melissa said, she could have seriously injured her. And then she would have felt awful about it later. Like, why did you let me fight? You knew I was not in the right headspace. So really it could go either way. In this case, I'm going to slightly agree more with Daniel than I did with Johnny, because Johnny said, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wish I would have been able to do. Well, the person didn't let him do it, and he ended up okay. And it's not like they couldn't have said, okay, we'll just redo this fight in 3 days. We'll redo this fight in a week. It was kind of a stupid reason to continue fighting. So I'm going to go slightly more Daniel, but it could have gone either way.
Yeah. And I also want to point this out too. I also agree with Johnny as well. I do think Tory needed to get that fight out, but it just needed to happen later. After Amanda maybe talked to her, after she talked to Johnny, and maybe if Daniel and Johnny could have suggested, okay, if you need to get this out of your system, then fight one of us to just get it all out, or maybe like in an hour, have Sam, now that Sam's aware that she lost her mom, have Sam be more prepared, because that's another thing. Sam had no idea that Tory had lost her mom and this in the headspace that she was in.
Right.
So
I put out, I think the one thing that was missing from all this is actually like Sam herself, because I think it seems pretty clear, like Sam wasn't going to fight Tory in this condition. And I think like the show kind of glossed over that point. Like it's not like Sam wants to fight Tori here. So I felt like that was like the one thing that was also really missing from the
She even said to Tori that Tori, I want to fight too, but not like this. Not this way.
Yeah. It seems to be the one part that was missing from that. All right, so we did Tori. That's the main storyline, obviously. What do we got? Miguel gets waitlisted. I mean, I don't think anyone really much cares about like these small the college storylines.
I think it was just basically
anything else from this
Tori
episode
there.
you just want to talk. I mean, we'll go to the part that you guys really care about, or I think that's brought up a lot of people. Was actually this fight here. Okay, Johnny Daniel riff, right? Johnny's talks bad about Mr. Miyagi. Daniel punches him. Daniel like eases back, apologizes, sorry, that was wrong. And then Johnny's like, we're done. How does the Johnny? I mean, you guys if you've brought it up already, but we're here now. Let's go ahead and like dive into it. The Johnny Daniel riff.
First of all, that was one weak ass punch for Daniel to do.
Well,
But,
that's true.
I think it was just like a reference to when he went Karate Kid 1 when he hit Johnny in the face the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, in my opinion, it's just going around in circles. They have an argument. It's just the same thing. Unfortunately, you don't see progression with these two. But at the same time, though, you don't really have a story without these two fighting. It would just be very bland if they didn't fight or if they didn't get in an argument and then make up.
It's true.
Yeah, I think Johnny's going to find it really hard to fulfill his commitment, saying, I'm going to train the kids. I'm going to do this for the kids, but I'm not doing it for Mr. Miyagi or you. Like, for him to say that, he's going to have a hard time committing to what they're trying to do with Miyagi-Do, because now he's really going to be conflicted. I'm just here for the kids. Well, what does that mean? Because you've shown through the last 5 episodes that you keep wanting to put Eagle Fang, Cobra Kai into everything. Then you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll just stay with Miyagi-Do. Now you're like conflicted again. Like because he can't stay on one side, I think it's actually going to cause a lot of problems for him through the next 5 episodes.
I do think though that that when it comes down to it, in part 2, we're going to see a lot of retrospective and reflection, especially when it comes to who's weakness here. And I think that Johnny will come to Daniel and say, look, I get it. You love the guy, and I probably said something I shouldn't have. I think we have that to come, but I think there was a better way to get there than that. And I really didn't care for it.
I agree with what Robin said. It feels like we're going in circles with these two in season 6, part 1. But at the same time, though, it's like we kind of, in a way, sort of have to because it's what drives the story.
It has, anyway. It has driven
it has driven it. And it's kind of like what Devin said to Johnny in episode 3 in regards to Sam and Tori getting along. She's like, there's no drama, there's nothing going on. It's like they're just getting along, and it's like if there's no drama, there's no story. So,
right.
But I just kind of like at the same time though feel like they regress too far back into season 4. And at the same time, I get it, but at the same time, I don't like it though either. I feel like at this point they should be on the same page
Yeah.
At least
And some people said that I felt like I rewatched season 4 or something to
So is this the episode where he stands up at Lursa Auto and just shouts this and that?
Yeah,
and says,
yeah, that's
Yeah,
earlier
yeah.
because of the training and such.
Even
Yeah,
Amanda
I
was
always
like,
pictured
Johnny,
when
The Jerry Maguire routine.
even
I always
Amanda was
pictured
like, Johnny, you're
when
being an idiot.
What did you say, Amanda? What? Oh, chewed him out. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, Johnny. Even Amanda was like, Johnny, you're being an idiot.
Yeah. Honestly, this wasn't my favorite scene. I probably liked this one less, Linda, like them arguing at the inside the dojo. It seems like a little over the top. Like I get the reference, but I feel like they were pushing the Jerry Maguire reference a little too hard.
I always pictured like with Bender, where he says, "Fine, I'll just go open my own thing, and then I'll get my own thing." And that's what I pictured.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit. To me, this was the one that was actually a little bit over the top.
Felt like Johnny was a child in this one.
Yeah. Anything else like the Robbie Miguel fight? I thought that was great. Anything on that?
It's just the same old with that one.
Same old.
Nice.
Fair.
Yeah.
I like the way they did it this time, having Miguel dominate the first 2 points, showing that Miguel was serious about this and really wanted to, really wanted this for himself. But in the end, Robbie finally was Miyagi-Do. Like everything he was doing for that first point was all Miyagi-Do. So because he was back to who he was, and we saw in the very first fight the two had, Robbie actually started out with the lead and Miguel came back to win. So to kind of see it go the opposite way this time was kind of nice. It showed that Robbie really has grown to the point where if he fights in the last match in the Sakai Takai, you could really actually believe that he could win. You believe that he's overcome the last obstacle, which I think we discussed it in our member meetings before. Miguel had to lose. He's never lost. He's always won. So for him to lose now, he has something to overcome.
I agree.
Fair enough.
I agree.
I think this was at Robbie's strongest point. When he saw Tory, that immediately gave him his strength back. Like he was like down to like 2-0, and as soon as he saw Tory, like he immediately found his strength and he kept fighting. And both fighters had a reason to want this, but I think in the end it was Robbie who showed that he needed it. Like Miguel really just wanted this. Like he just wanted it. He didn't necessarily like need it on a personal level. Like, and I think like that's where I'm glad Robbie won this. Like, because this is a win that he can honestly say that he got, like he earned this. And I like this scene here because I like this scene right here. I know it was kind of cut short and it's kind of sad too. But it's like I kind of got like first Karate Kid vibes when Mr. Miyagi was wrapping that headband around Daniel for the first time. And you could tell that's what Daniel was thinking back to when he was doing that with Sam. I mean, it was cut short.
At least until he remembered.
Until he saw the symbol. Until he saw the symbol. But it was kind of like, it was really kind of heartwarming if you,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is a nice moment. That's cut short. Yeah, well put. So anyone else, any final thoughts about the tournament or, the tournament, the whole episode? I think we covered the big stuff.
I thought it was well written. Peyton's best performance as Tory by far. I thought it was just incredible. And like I said, I know there's a huge debate over who was right to stop that fight. I'm sticking with both. I think they were both right.
There you go.
Because there's no way that fight would have ended well for either Sam or Tory if it continued. Do I think it should have been handled differently? And with Daniel pointing out that they'll do this fight later, yes. But in that moment when Daniel stopped the fight, it was both Daniel and Johnny were right.
Yeah.
Both.
All right. Anything final, Robert, from you, maybe?
No, because
Not on that. Just the excitement, for where we're gonna go. I mean, you called for Julie to be in the first 5 episodes. We obviously didn't get that. But
A
what
rare watch party miss.
I know. I was actually shocked. But one thing that I do kind of like it. I don't think it'd be a great idea unless it's a training montage scene thing for her to be in the second part. I would like to see her in part 3 because we didn't get her in 1. If she's going to be there, part 3 has to be the one. If it's 2, it would kind of, unless she's going to be in both, it would kind of lose it for me. It'd be kind of nice to see her at the end, but I'm kind of starting to lean more towards now. Like, I don't know if she was lying, but like you said, they rewrote the first episode for a reason. And now we kind of got to try to figure out what was that reason. What did they feel they were missing that they needed to add in by doing this? Was it the Sean and Kenny thing that suddenly made it a little more believable? Like, what was it that they got the idea maybe that Mr. Miyagi had this past? Like, is that what they decided? And that's why they rewrote episode 1? It's kind of fascinating to think about what we're going to get in the future.
Yeah, it is.
I agree.
And I actually like the idea of I actually think she could appear at the end of part 2. And that sets us up going into part 3. Because they did kind of do like you said, Robin, they did sort of do a subtle nod by having Mr. Miyagi's name revealed to be to Daniel to be Kiyosuke or Miyagi or something like that instead of
Keisuke, I think it was.
Yeah, Keisuke Miyagi, because that's what they called him in the beginning of Karate Kid in the next Karate Kid. So they kind of did a subtle nod to it. So that's why I could picture her. And if Daniel's looking for answers about Mr. Miyagi, Julie would be the person he could turn to, because he knows it's been revealed by the writers for years that Daniel and Julie know each other, and even subtly hinted at in season 2 that they knew each other, that they met.
Robin, anything else? Final thoughts on the episode or anything else? Or
Well, not really. I'm just kind of interested to see why he has the bloody headband, if that was Miyagi who did that, or if it was a friend, or if it was him. So I'm kind of interested to see that kind of story, where that story goes.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the mysteries still. I think this gets answered in part 2 for sure.
I could definitely see it being a friend, like one of Miyagi's friends that went with him to the tournament, and that person got severely injured, which creates the Miyagi we know.
Yeah, I could see a scene, or it's possible that maybe Miyagi may have had a student that that was maybe in the Sekai Tekai or something like that, and that student got so badly beaten that maybe they died. It's possible he could have had another student before Daniel. that he never really mentioned.
Well, we'll wait on that one.
And that student could have died in that tournament, because Mike Barnes specifically said people have died in this tournament, and if Mr. Miyagi was in that tournament, or maybe he was a captain. Yeah.
I think Mike was kind of exaggerating, though, because realistically, it's a bunch of teenagers. I highly doubt someone has actually died in a teenager tournament. It just, even for a TV show, that would seem kind of a stretch.
Maybe
maybe not.
John, any final thoughts or wrap up from this episode or anything else?
Well, as I said earlier, if Peyton List doesn't get at least an Emmy nomination, that's a complete injustice. But I am excited to kind of find out, more about this picture we have here. With Mr. Miyagi and the Sakai Taikai in the past, right? I'm also wondering. I think we'll get some connection between Mr. Miyagi and Kim Sung Young, because remember, Chosen told Daniel in season 5 that Sato knew of Kim Sung Young and was really upset about him. So I think I'm looking forward to see if we get some connection between Miyagi and Kim Sung Young, or perhaps Miyagi and him possibly being in the Korean War and being trained by Kim Sung Young in some manner.
Trained by? I don't think he would need to be trained by. But I guess we'll see. It's an interesting thought. All right, well, we ticked on to 2.5 hours. Thank you, all of you, for being channel members. For those who don't know, the channel members stream Robin, John, Melissa, Robert, Matt, and everyone else who was here earlier. They're the channel members. You can become a channel member. Hit the button, join. That's what they did. And we do hang out like at least once a month. Just chat Cobra Kai or anything else that's going on. So was a lot of fun. I think we'll be back for part 2 in November.
Yeah.
And part 2 was moved up, remember? It was supposed to be in Thanksgiving, and now it's 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, the 15th now, which is a Friday.
Yeah.
So
that was a good surprise.
Yeah.
It's a nice surprise.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be wrapped up. Thank you, chat. Anyone else who's been in here, you guys are contributing. It's great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, anytime.
I finished writing another video just before this. I hope maybe I can get it out tonight or tomorrow morning.
What's the video, if you don't mind my asking?
Our 2 mystery fighters. Because everyone, I wrote a quick one because everyone's like, wait, there's only 4 Cobra Kais, which is true. They only show 4 of them, and so I have it all. I will we will see the whole lineup, and it goes a little bit into potentials and everything. So that's that. Oh, Lisa, you were here. We wish you could have came in, but maybe another time. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, channel members. Thank you, John, Josh, and Hayden. Thank you, Netflix. It'll keep going.
Thank you so much. I mean, this has been like a dream. This is like kind of like a dream come true, like for me, because I love the Karate Kid universe, and it's really had an impact on my life. And thank you, WatchParty, for allowing me to be like a member of your channel.
You're welcome.
And making me feel like I've like a connection with all of you, with all of you. And it's an amazing feeling to know that not alone.
Not alone, that's for sure.
And shameless plug, everybody, we do this once a month. Seriously, join. We'd love to have everybody. It's not the same every time. We do different things, and WatchParty, really lets us just discuss. Sometimes we don't even discuss Cobra Kai. We've got into other things. So come and join us. It's definitely worth it. I think WatchParty, you have 2 memberships, right? Two amounts.
2 tiers. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 tiers. So come join us, guys.
50 push-ups on your knuckles.
There you go.
Yeah. And guys, for any of those who are thinking about becoming a members, just so you know that we discuss everything on here, and you're not alone. Your membership's always welcome. And especially with WatchParty, and like there's no topic that we won't touch upon that that you want to talk about, and you're always free to discuss your opinions and your theories and your thoughts.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, and I'm also a new member. I just joined maybe about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a lovely surprise, and I'm really happy to be joined.
We're glad you're here, Robin.
Thank you.
All right,
glad you're here. And it's glad
everyone.
to have another girl here on the stream.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. We will see you at the next watch party.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.